All right, so what the heck is land flipping and how can you use this simple real estate method to make anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a month every single month without doing any cold calling, doing any repairs, renovations, dealing with any tenants, or using any of your own money to actually buy the properties? Let's dive in. What's going on, everybody? My name is Max Hornstein with the Land Flipping System, and today in this video, we're gonna really set the stage for what this entire YouTube channel is gonna be about. It's gonna be one of the first videos, and we're gonna go over what is land flipping, all right? Now, you may have heard it called by other names. You may have heard land wholesaling, land investing, right? They're all the same thing. But what we're gonna do is today we're gonna talk about exactly how this works as well as how you actually make money doing it, all right? That's obviously the biggest question. So we're gonna save that till the end. So make sure you stay tuned all the way through. Now, as a really quick reminder, if you haven't already, subscribe to this YouTube channel, all right? I would highly recommend that you do so, as we're gonna be going over a ton of content in terms of not only what is land flipping, but also how to start your own land flipping business. So again, make sure that you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. All right, it's really gonna help you out. Now, with all that stuff out of the way, let's dive in. What is land flipping? Now, to really fully understand how this method came to be, we gotta take a little bit of a step back, all right? So let's go back to 2020, okay? Up until that point, most people were happy living in cities surrounded by other people. But due to some events that took place, you know what I'm talking about, that year, we saw a massive expansion of people buying up rural land to get out of the big cities and have their own space. And this opened up a newfound record level of demand for land that we haven't seen since the early 60s. And that demand has continued to this day. Now, most of the land in the US is owned by the baby boomer generation, okay? That's people between the ages of 57 and 75. And these baby boomers, well, they bought it so long ago that when they bought it, the value of the land was pennies on the dollar compared to what it is today. Now, what happened to these owners? Well, they're at a point now in their life where they've gotten older, right? And they don't use the property as much as they used to. And their plans may have changed with it, right? Maybe originally wanted to build a house out there, but they decided to move closer to family, right? Or maybe they bought big acreage to go hunt on, and now they don't have the time or the energy to maintain the property. So their land is just sitting there vacant, sometimes for decades, 20, 30, 40 years. And as you can start to put two and two together, essentially, I mean, there's millions of these vacant landowners who have land on their hands that they don't even use anymore, right? And they don't really care about it because, again, they're not using it. And at the same time, there's also more demand now for land than ever before. And so you're probably wondering, all right, well, why don't they just sell themselves? And that's the right question to ask. There's a bit of a problem though, right? See, these vacant landowners, number one, they don't know how to actually sell land. And so if they do try and sell it, they usually hire terrible realtors who only know how to sell houses and not land. Therefore, it takes them sometimes 12 plus months to actually get the land sold because they don't know what they're doing, right? And then on top of that, the realtors are gonna ask them to spruce the property up, right? To make their job easier, to get trees cleared, build a fence, take photos, etc., right? So now it's becoming an even bigger burden, and they're gonna have to sink money into it, right? For these landowners to actually get the property sold. And this is where we come in. See, we solve the seller's problem because as land flippers, we can just offer them cash deals. We don't use any of our money, which I'll touch on in a second. We can close on the property in as little as 2 to 4 weeks, and we cover all the closing costs for them. And we buy the property as is, meaning the seller doesn't need to do anything to it. So we're basically like the Carvana for real estate. Now, because we're offering a service to these sellers and we're solving a problem for them, they're willing to sell the property to us at a discount. And beyond that, remember, they bought the land for pennies on the dollar, okay? So let's say they bought it for $10,000 20 years ago, and today it's worth $40,000. Well, if I offer that seller $20,000 for a cash deal that we can close on in 2 to 4 weeks, instead of them waiting 12 plus months to maybe sell it, well, they're gonna take my deal because they're still profiting from it. Like, that's why this whole model works. Remember, they bought it for 10. If we give them 20, they make $10,000 in profit. Now, we get to go sell the property for full market value of $40,000 and make the difference. So we bought it for 20, we sell it for 40, we make 20, all right? Now, at this point, you probably have 3 questions. How do I get in contact with these landowners to get the deals? How do I get the money to buy the properties? And how do I sell these quickly and not have to wait 12 plus months to actually sell the deals? Well, let's talk about that. So the strategy that we use to get in touch with these landowners is called direct mail. And a lot of people think that you need to do things like cold call or text to get deals. And what I found is that's actually literally the worst way to get land deals, all right? The reason is because of the quality of leads that you attract. See, when you make a cold call, they didn't ask to be contacted by you, and therefore they have very low levels of motivation to sell. Now, when you use direct mail, well, we put our offer that we're willing to pay on the actual letter that we send them, and we tell them to call us if they're interested, which means now we're generating inbound leads, which is the highest quality of leads because they're pre-qualified, because they know how much we're offering them, and they're the ones reaching out to us. Now, in terms of getting the money for properties, we use something called joint venture funders, also known as JV funders or JV funding. These are people that will fund the entire purchase price of the land, including the closing costs, in exchange for a small slice of the profits after the sale. Now, typically they'll take about 20 to 30% of the profits. And they don't care about you, your history, your credit, anything like that. They just care if you have a deal where they can make money. Because this isn't you taking out a loan or taking on debt or anything like that. You're partnering with them just on this specific deal. And a lot of people think that it's hard to find JV funders, but to be honest, if you have a good deal, it's probably the easiest part of the entire business. You can find these guys in really any real estate related Facebook group, Discord group, school group. I mean, there's even entire businesses dedicated to just funding land deals like parcelfunders.com. I'm not associated with them, but you can go check them out. Now, when it comes to selling the properties quickly, well, we achieve that in two ways. And number one, and this is the most important, all right, so pay attention. We spend the majority of our time picking the right markets. Okay, so that's where land is selling in less than 90 days. Okay, what we do is we'll find counties and we'll look at the sold listings for land in a certain acre range. So let's say we're targeting 5 to 10 acres. And then we find the median days on market of the listings in that acre range over the last 12 months. Now, as a side note, the reason that we do median instead of average is because it's more of a pure statistic. Average gets pulled out by outliers while median doesn't. Number two is we hire great land realtors to sell the property for us. See, this is where most people go wrong. They try and either sell the land themselves, which takes a lot of time and energy, or they hire the wrong person to sell it, i.e. a realtor that only sells houses, which they don't know how to sell land, so they're not gonna do well. We work with realtors who specialize in land. And the cool thing is, this is what allows us to run the business remotely, right? Because they go out there, they walk the property, they take photos, they meet with buyers, etc. They handle all of that for us. And beyond that, the realtors, they work on commission. So typically they'll take about 6 to 8% of the sales price. So it's not like they're an employee that you have to pay up front. They get paid once the deal is sold. So now that you know how it works, well, let's break down some stats around how many mailers it takes to actually get deals and the costs associated with starting it. Typically, it takes anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 mailers to get a deal. Now, that range depends on what areas you target and the price of the properties you go after, okay? If you go after properties that are in the middle of the market, properties where you buy for 20, sell for 40, all the way up to buy for 60, sell for 120, which is what I recommend to target, you'll be somewhere in that 2,000 to 5,000 mailer per deal range, all right? If you go after really tiny deals, like a buy for 5, sell for 10, it might only take you a few hundred to maybe 1,000 letters to get a deal, but those deals aren't worth your time. I mean, you're gonna make maybe $1,000, right? 2,000, like that's not worth it, okay? If you go after deals that are way bigger, like say buy for 100, sell for 200, you'll send well over 5,000 mailers to get a deal. I mean, it could be 10,000 mailers to get a deal. Now, the reason I don't recommend you go after those if you're a beginner is that yes, you can make a lot of money on those deals, but number one, the sellers are much harder to work with. They're a lot more savvy, and these properties take longer to sell because they're more expensive, all right? Now, on average, you can expect to pay about 60 cents a letter. So let's be super conservative and say you send out 10,000 letters and are on the high end of that 2,000 to 5,000 mailers to a deal range. So let's say you get a deal every 5,000 letters. The average net for a deal using the strategy that I teach is $10,000. So you send 10,000 mailers, you get 2 deals at $10,000 in profit each, which equals $20,000 in profit. And you spent $6,000 in the mail and you made $20,000. That's a 3.3x return, which is phenomenal in any business. And this would be if your mailer campaign like kind of bombed, right? And you were on that high side, like that wouldn't be that good. Typically, we'll see higher than a 3x return, but this is us being conservative. And again, obviously, there's variations to this, okay? But this is what we see in general. So with all that being said, guys, hopefully this was a concise enough video that explained, what land flipping is, how it works, and the numbers behind it. Now, full transparency, my goal with this channel is to give you everything that you would need to actually start a land flipping business completely on your own. All right. But if you want to fast track getting it started and actually have me and my team build it for you, well, I made a short video that goes over exactly how we can help you do that. It's in the first link below this video. Again, it's totally optional. This channel will have everything that you need to do it yourself. This is really just for people who want to fast track their success and get personalized one-on-one mentorship. Okay. Anyways, with all that said, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Stay on the lookout for the next videos, and I will talk to you guys very soon. See you later.